once again. Today, in honor of Jimmy Carter's life, we're going to read a little golden book, Biography, Jimmy Carter by Michael Joosten, illustrated by Jim Starr. Here's some credentials, if you'd like to get the credentials real quick. Okay. James Earl Carter Jr. was born on October 1st, 1924, in the small town of Plains, Georgia. Everyone called him Jimmy. His father, Earl, was a businessman and farmer. His mother, Lillian, was a nurse. Jimmy had two younger sisters, Gloria and Ruth. When he was 12 years old, his brother Billy was born. There was always work to do on the farm. Each morning, Jimmy helped out by feeding the pigs and collecting the eggs. Oh, guess what? I have to go over here because there's more to read. Jimmy and his family lived on a large farm where they grew cotton, corn, and peanuts. They also owned a tiny country store on the property. Folks in town would come to buy everything from soap to sausage. There was always work to do on the farm. Each morning, Jimmy helped out by feeding the pigs and collecting the eggs. In the summers, he turned all the watermelons so that they would grow into the perfect shape. Jimmy also found time to have fun. He'd ride horses through the woods, jump into huge piles of straw, and swim and fish in the pond. He became good friends with Rachel and Jack Clark, a black couple who worked on the Carter farm. At this time, Georgia was a segregated state. That means that the black community was kept separate from the white community, but that didn't stop Jimmy from spending lots of time with the Clarks. He helped Mr. Clark on the farm and enjoyed fishing with Mrs. Clark. He often stayed at their house when his parents were away. As Jimmy got older, his curiosity about life beyond the farm grew. His Uncle Tom was in the United States Navy and would send postcards from all the exciting places he'd visited around the world. Jimmy wanted to see the world too. During his years at Plains High School, Jimmy was an excellent student. He played on the basketball team and was a member of the Future Farmers of America. After graduating high school, Jimmy decided to join the Navy just like his Uncle Tom. In 1943, he was admitted to the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. Jimmy trained on old battleships and learned how to fly seaplanes. In 1946, just weeks after graduating from the Naval Academy, Jimmy married the love of his life, Rosalind Smith. They had first met when Rosalind was a baby and Jimmy was 3 years old. Jimmy's mother helped deliver Rosalind when she was born, and she brought Jimmy to see her a few days later. Jimmy and Rosalind had 3 sons, Jack, Chip, and Jeff. Their daughter Amy would be born later in 1967. While Jimmy worked as a submariner for the United States Navy, he and his family moved all over America. They lived in Virginia, Hawaii, California, Connecticut, and New York. In 1953, Jimmy received some sad news. His father had died. Jimmy decided to resign from the Navy and move back to Plains, Georgia, to run the Carter family farm. As the years went on, Jimmy became an active leader in his hometown. He volunteered to help resolve issues in the schools, hospitals, and libraries. Having grown up with a strong sense of faith, Jimmy was also very involved at his local church. His family attended services at Maranatha Baptist Church. Both he and Rosalind were deacons there, and Jimmy taught Sunday school classes too. In 1962, Jimmy's experience as a lieutenant in the Navy, a businessman, and a community leader, combined with a strong desire to help others, led him to run for the Georgia State Senate. He won the election and would go on to serve 2 terms as senator. While he was in the state Senate, Jimmy became known as an independent thinker. He fought for important issues like preventing the government from wasting money and ensuring that Black Americans had the right to vote. In 1966, Jimmy ran for governor of Georgia. He lost that election, but he didn't give up. In 1971, he ran again. This time, Jimmy won. As governor, he sought to end racial segregation, protect the environment, and help the state government run more efficiently. After 4 years as governor, Jimmy announced he would be running for president of the United States. He traveled around the country for almost 2 years, explaining why he was someone voters could trust. His hard work paid off. Jimmy won the election. On January 20th, 1977, the peanut farmer from Georgia was sworn in as the 39th president of the United States. Afterward, Jimmy, Rosalind, and their daughter Amy walked in the inaugural parade to their new home, the White House. President Carter accomplished many things. He started a new energy program to help the United States use less oil and to invest in solar energy. He even had 32 solar panels installed at the White House. He increased the national park system by adding 15 new parks, and he created the Department of Education to improve America's schools for all students. In foreign affairs, he helped negotiate a peace treaty between Israel and Egypt called the Camp David Accords. Despite his achievements, Jimmy lost the re-election in 1980. He was disappointed, but he continued to work hard and help others even after leaving the White House. He wrote several books, including a children's book that was illustrated by his daughter, Amy. He and Rosalind founded the Carter Center to improve human rights all around the world. They also worked with the Habitat for Humanity, an organization that builds houses for people in need. Over 40 years, Jimmy and Rosalind helped build and repair more than 4,300 homes. Just want to make sure Okay. In 1999, President Bill Clinton awarded Jimmy and Rosalind the Presidential Medal of Freedom for their dedication to humanitarian work. Jimmy won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2002 for his efforts to find peaceful solutions to the world's conflicts and to help advance global human rights. When his presidency ended, Jimmy and Rosalind returned to their hometown, happily spending the rest of their lives in Plains, Georgia. They enjoyed visits from their children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Jimmy continued to teach Sunday school at Maranatha Baptist Church until 2020. People came from all over to hear him speak. From his humble beginnings on his family's peanut farm to his time serving his country as president, Jimmy Carter's legacy of fighting for human rights and leading with kindness continues to inspire people of all ages.